Hello and welcome to part one of our 5-part Diversity and Employer Advantage series. This was originally a webinar that we had put on for local employers here in Medicine Hat in southeast Alberta, and it's made possible through funding by the Government of Alberta, so a huge thank you to them for this project. As we begin here, just want you to feel free to write down or make a mental note of your intention or objective for watching these videos. So the agenda, so to speak, is that we have 5 modules that we've broken it out into. This first one is diversity, equity, inclusion. What is it? And as we go through the modules, we'll look at what does it look like, what can we do, which we've got in part 1 and part 2, as well as we'll move into exploring workplace readiness. So to begin with, here at Being Human Services, my name is Kevin Paul. I'm the program manager who was put in charge of this project. So I developed, researched, and put this all together, so I'm glad that you're here listening and learning today. A little bit about Being Human Services itself is that we like to facilitate welcoming and inclusive, productive workplaces. We consider ourselves integration service specialists, so we like to support and connect newcomers to employers by matching their needs and wants of both of them together to create sort of a win-win solution. And our little tagline is be better, do better. And now I'll just let my coworker here, Karen, introduce herself.
My name is Karen Zeman, and I'm happy to work with Kevin on this project. I have many years of experience working with individuals from different countries. In 1980, I was very fortunate to work for the federal government in employment and immigration. It was there that I assisted people from Vietnam, several countries in South America, and European countries. I realized the value of the skills of the people that were coming to our community and their talents as they integrated into our labor market. As time moved on, I became a language assessor and continued to meet with people from all over the world. I'm now on the executive for the Medicine Hat Local Intern Partnership, and I volunteer my time to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. My experiences have given me a better understanding of the sacrifices that my grandparents made in coming to Canada to become farmers in southern Saskatchewan in the early 1900s. I'm happy to share my knowledge and experiences to advocate for people to settle in our community. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Karen. So moving on, just want to let you know that throughout this video series, I'll be slowly filling in this Venn diagram. And don't worry if I don't actually stay on it for too long. You can either pause the video or it'll also be made available at the very end if needed, which we will have a PDF on our website, and you'll be able to go to that. And our website, if you want to jump ahead, is www.beinghumanservices.ca. And you just need to click on the diversity tab to explore this, and you can find other related content to this diversity program. So let's get started with diversity. What is it? So while the words diversity, equity, and inclusion are often used interchangeably, it's important to note that there are distinct differences between them. So what we've got here is 3 different infographics that sort of outline the differences, and we'll slowly go through them here for you. So when we look at diversity, the thing to note is that a person, a single person, cannot actually be diverse. A person is just a unique individual. So as you will see here, diversity comes into play when we've got more than one person, as seen in the conglomeration there of little individual dots set up. So when we look at that, it's the various identities and differences of individuals in a group. So when we look at equity then, equity is when we start everybody off in the same place, and it really helps to level the playing field. So from a visual perspective there, you can see we've got all the dots instead of a group. They're all lined up now, sort of from that even perspective there. So we're focusing on fair treatment, opportunity, and access and advantage, which is equal to everybody there. As we move over into inclusion, we need to note that it requires an intentional focus on creating an environment in which any individual or group feels welcome and able to fully contribute. So that's why the dots have been moved into the circles, sort of that round table look and feel, so that everybody's facing each other and everybody's, sort of at that same level and able to engage and interact with the other people equally. So they have those contributions and participation of all of the people who are involved. So next, as we go on, we've got a little illustration here that will sort of paint a better picture. So when we provide equality, which you can see here in the photo, regardless of individual differences, equality doesn't mean that everybody is having or enjoying the same experience. So as you can see, each individual has been given a box to stand on to watch a baseball game over the fence, but only 2 of them can actually see over to look at that game. When we provide equity to all people, it's considering their individual differences. So when we look at it now, by providing that equity piece between the boxes, everybody now has that equal sort of opportunity to actually enjoy the game. And then if we take the illustration one step further, we can remove that fenced barrier in a way, and then everybody has equal opportunity without any structural barrier at all. So I really like the quote by Verna Myers, which says that diversity is being invited to the party and inclusion is being able to dance, asked to dance. So extending this analogy even further, you could say that equity is defined as being able to help plan that party. So again, it requires that sort of intentional view and to get rid of those unintentional barriers that may be arising from bias or systemic structures that are present. So moving on here, we have a little bit of viewer engagement time, and I'd like you to stop and pause and sort of think about, and I'll give you some time, to consider that the Canadian Human Rights Act has a specific number of prohibited grounds of discrimination. And I'm just curious, if you want to take some time, how many do you think there are and how many can you actually name? So just take a couple seconds here to think about that, and then I'll move on and we can sort of see what those are and talk about them. So as you'll see, they'll start to show up here. And I've arranged these so that when they started to appear, visual differences is actually what comes to mind first, usually when people think about discrimination. It's easier to look at somebody and notice differences than it is to actually use other senses or means of discovering differences such as communication. So as you can see, race, color, age, sex, national or ethnic origin are definitely things that can have very visual things to them. But once you start to get into things like religion, sexual orientation and gender, even marital status, can really be something that you have to seek out a little bit more. So those are the things that you should be considering when you think about, what types of discrimination are out there and things that you yourself might be have in the back of your mind as far as what you might be discriminating against yourself in various ways. So moving on here, we've got the Venn diagram. So as you can see now, we're beginning to fill out the circles of the diagram, and we're going to wrap this video up here. And in Module 2, we're actually going to begin to delve a little bit deeper and explore exactly what diversity, equity, and inclusion looks like. So thank you for following along in this very first videos in our series. On behalf of Being Human Services and the Government of Alberta, we want to thank you for watching it. And I hope you'll join us for the remaining 4, because to make a lasting difference, it takes all of us.